A $3 fix unraveled into a documented factory recall that failed even after it had supposedly been fixed. Bugatti's sales line called him back within minutes. Its service line never picked up at all. The final bill came to $59,000 for a problem the manufacturer already knew about. When a repossession company takes back a Bugatti Veyron, it's hard to keep quiet. These are cars built in numbers so small, 450 in total, ever, that losing one to a bank rarely stays a secret for long. The Veyron was Volkswagen Group's answer to a question nobody had asked. What happens if you build a road car with no compromises at all, purely to prove it could be done? Earlier this year, Armstrong bought one of these repossessed Veyrons for significantly less than the $2 million a clean example commands. The exterior looked mint, the interior untouched, and the engine started on the first attempt. A small miracle for a 16-cylinder, quad-turbocharged machine that had clearly sat neglected. For a moment, it must have felt like the deal of a lifetime. That feeling didn't last. A Veyron doesn't reveal its wounds at a glance. It hides them in the transmission and wiring looms, in systems so specialized that most independent garages wouldn't know where to begin. The kind of hidden faults that only show up under load the first time someone drives it the way it was built to be driven. The first problem was the worst kind. Invisible until you tried to drive. The gearbox wouldn't engage a single gear, a $2 million hypercar reduced to an ornament in a driveway. Diagnostics came back with a number that would make most owners sit down, somewhere between $350,000 and $400,000 to replace the gearbox outright. But when Armstrong's team traced the fault instead of simply paying the quote, what they found was almost comedic. The gearbox wasn't shifting because a single fuse, a part you could buy at nearly any hardware store, had blown. Armstrong bought a replacement for a handful of pounds and installed it himself. The car shifted into gear on the first try. A repair quoted in 6 figures had been solved with a part that cost less than a coffee. But a blown fuse is rarely the end of the story. A fuse exists to sacrifice itself before something more expensive fails. If it blows, something downstream is drawing more current than it should. The real question was never whether the fix worked, but what caused the fuse to blow in the first place. It wasn't. The fault traced back to the hydraulic gearbox pump, a part so critical that Bugatti reportedly replaces it during every annual service, worn or not. What makes the discovery almost darkly funny is its lineage. A similar unit operates the folding roof on an Audi A5. In the Veyron, that humble mechanism is pushed far beyond its design, activating every time a door opens and holding roughly 55 bar of pressure indefinitely. Run that long enough, and the plastic casing around the wiring bakes from the inside until it shorts the very fuse meant to protect it. The fuse hadn't failed at random, it had done exactly its job. Once the Veyron was drivable again, a new symptom appeared. A persistent misfire, mostly on one cylinder but occasionally jumping to the other bank. On an ordinary car you'd swap a coil pack and move on. The Veyron's W16 uses an ion sensing system to read combustion quality through the spark plugs, a diagnostic layer so sophisticated that isolating one faulty module, out of a set reportedly costing $9,000 each, became a multi-day exercise of swapping parts and retesting. Next came a coolant leak, traced to a pinhole in the front radiator, likely from a stone strike earlier in the car's life. The textbook repair meant tearing apart the entire front end just to reach one radiator. Instead, the team ran a stop leak sealant through the system until it sealed on contact with air. Not how the factory would do it, but functional and far less labor. By this point the pattern was unmistakable. Every fix revealed another problem hiding behind it. A car engineered with this much redundancy doesn't fail in single, isolated events. It fails in chains, one part masking another until something forces the whole picture into view. Every independent mechanic working on an exotic car eventually hits the same wall, and it rarely has anything to do with skill. It's access. At one point, Armstrong's team simply called Bugatti to buy the parts they needed. The answer wasn't a price, it was a policy. Bugatti does not supply parts to anyone outside its authorized service network. If the Veyron needed factory components, the car itself would have to go to one of the company's own technicians. Independent repair wasn't just expensive, it was structurally discouraged. This wasn't a one-off. Fellow YouTuber Mark McCann reportedly hit a strikingly similar wall on his own Veyron rebuild, suggesting this is a consistent policy, not an isolated failure. It helps to remember who sets that policy. Bugatti hasn't been fully independent for decades. It now operates as a joint venture alongside Rimac, with Volkswagen Group's Porsche division holding a significant stake. Decisions about parts access come from a corporate structure protecting its service revenue and brand image, wrapped in the language of exclusivity. Right-to-repair fights usually play out over affordable, high-volume cars, tractors, pickup trucks, where the stakes feel obvious. It's harder to generate sympathy for someone who can afford a $2 million car. But that's exactly why this matters. The same battle exists at the top of the market too, just with more zeros attached and far less attention paid. Months passed. Faults were chased down one by one, some solved with fuses and sealant, others with parts fabricated in-house because the factory wouldn't sell the real thing. The bodywork was refreshed, swapping the original light blue accents for satin metallic silver. Slowly, a car that had arrived barely able to move began to behave like the hypercar it was always meant to be. The final goal was top speed mode, the Veyron's signature party trick, and the reason the model became a legend in the first place. In 2010, a Veyron Super Sport set the record for the fastest production car in the world. Activating the mode requires a dedicated key, inserted near the driver's seat, that lowers the car's ride height and locks the rear spoiler and front splitter into their most aggressive position. After clearing warning lights, fitting new wheels, and waiting out bad weather, the team loaded the Veyron onto a trailer and headed for a runway, a deliberately conservative shakedown run, with no attempt at the car's genuine top speed of 253 miles per hour. The 150-mile drive to the runway was uneventful, one of the more reassuring stretches this project had produced. The homemade speed key went into the slot, twisted, and top speed mode activated immediately, exactly as it should, a genuine, hard-earned win after a project that had fought the manufacturer at nearly every turn. And then, after those trouble-free miles, the Veyron lost power and died. Not gradually, it simply shut down, leaving the team standing on a runway with a car that had worked perfectly minutes earlier. A diagnostic scan returned a blunt message: no communication with the fuel pump control module. The team's first hope was another blown fuse, but every fuse checked out fine. The real cause was internal to the part itself. The module was sending an incorrect signal. When Armstrong searched the part number, the story turned into something bigger than a mechanical fault. It matched an official recall covering 72 Bugatti Veyrons and Grand Sports affected by this exact failure, addressed by a revised control unit running updated software. Armstrong checked his own car. It already had that exact revised version installed, and it had failed anyway. This wasn't outdated hardware nobody had updated. It was the part Bugatti issued to fix the problem, breaking the same way the original was supposed to stop breaking. What happened next had nothing to do with engineering. Armstrong called Bugatti London. Nobody answered. He called the service center directly. Nobody answered. He called Bugatti Paris, which claims to operate Monday through Saturday. On a Monday, at midday, still nothing. To rule out a bad phone line, he called a rival manufacturer's service department instead, and that call connected without issue. Then he called Bugatti's sales line. They called him back within minutes. When Bugatti's team finally engaged, a replacement module was in stock at Molsheim. The price, $59,358, with the car required to travel to an official service center, a process estimated to take 2 weeks. Bugatti has defended pricing like this by pointing to the economics of hypercar-scale manufacturing, where low-volume parts cost far more than mass-produced ones. That doesn't explain why a part issued to fix a known recall failed exactly the way it was meant to prevent, or why the repair line rings out while the sales line answers on the second ring. The sticker price of a hypercar was never the real cost of ownership. What Armstrong's Veyron reveals is a question of trust. If a recall fix doesn't fix the fault, and the line meant to help doesn't answer, what you're actually paying for isn't engineering. It's access to a relationship that runs in one direction only, toward the sale, and away from everything after it. The Chiron got the CEO, the viral drama, the multi-million-dollar headline. The Veyron got a fuse, a stop leak sealant, a homemade speed key, and a recall that failed on the very part meant to fix it. No public statement, no response from leadership, just an unanswered phone and a $59,000 bill for a problem the company already knew about. If a manufacturer can lock independent owners out of a $2 million hypercar, the harder question is what stops that same logic from reaching the cars the rest of us actually drive.